The Xylar Collective had ruled the outer sectors of the galaxy for centuries. Mighty fleets patrolled the stars and no species dared challenge them. Among the Xylar, whispers told of an old legend, stories of a species called humans, creatures who had once lived on a small blue planet called Earth. According to these tales, humans had fought with courage and skill that rivaled even the strongest alien empires, but most considered it just a myth. No one had seen a human in generations, and many believed the stories were exaggerated or entirely false. Deep in the uncharted reaches of Xylar territory, the scout ship Veyrin glided silently through space. Its sensors scanned every asteroid belt, gas cloud, and minor planet looking for signs of movement. The crew of 12 Xylar officers moved with precision, but an unease lingered in the air. "Commander Tyler," said Lieutenant Hera, her claws tapping nervously on the console. "There are unusual energy signatures ahead. They're unlike anything we have recorded before." Tyler leaned over the main screen, frowning. The readings were strange indeed. They weren't natural emissions like stars or nebulae, and they didn't match any Xylar technology. The energy pulses were irregular but highly organized, suggesting intelligent control. "Could it be an uncharted fleet?" Tyler asked, his tone calm but sharp. Hera shook her head. "Nothing that matches the power output of these readings exists in our databases. It almost feels legendary." "Legendary?" Tyler raised an eyebrow. "Some of our historians claim humans were capable of controlling energy in ways no other species could," Hera explained. "If the stories are true, this might be them." Tyler chuckled, but it was short and uneasy. "Humans are extinct. They are a myth. We've dismissed them for centuries. Check and recheck your sensors, Lieutenant. I don't want fear guiding our mission." Hera nodded, though a shadow of doubt passed across her face. The Veyrin continued toward the energy signatures, scanning, analyzing, and recording. Suddenly, the main sensors picked up a movement, a small, fast object darting through the void. It moved too quickly and with too much precision for any known Xylar ship. "Commander," shouted Hera, her voice tight. "We are being approached. Small craft, extremely fast." Tyler's claws tightened around the railing. "Prepare for identification. Open hailing frequencies. Let's see who or what is coming." The display screen lit up with a single image, a sleek ship shining under the distant starlight, approaching at impossible speed. Its design was unfamiliar, its shape elegant yet efficient, and its size small but deceptively powerful. Hera's voice was barely a whisper. "Commander, it's them," Tyler froze. "Them? The humans. If the legends are true, this is impossible. They shouldn't exist." Before Tyler could respond, the ship moved like a blur. In a matter of seconds, it was directly in front of the Veyrin. Its sensors pulsed brightly, almost as if scanning the Xylar ship. And then it fired a precise energy beam at the scout's shields. The beam struck without warning, causing the Veyrin to shudder violently. "Shields! Shields at 80%! Yelled Hera, fingers dancing over the controls. Tyler gritted his teeth. "Return fire! Target their engines!" The Veyrin fired, but the human ship was already gone, vanishing into the darkness of space as if it had never been there. The crew stared at the empty void, their instruments flashing in confusion. They just vanished," Hera said, her voice trembling. Tyler took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "This is no ordinary ship. Lieutenant, send a distress signal to the Xylar Council immediately. Report what you've seen, and include the energy readings. This is bigger than anything we've faced." The crew moved quickly. Alerts flashed across the consoles as the Veyrin transmitted the message through encrypted channels. But even as they waited for a response, a creeping dread filled the bridge. They had faced many unknown threats before, but this felt different. This was not just a new enemy. This was something ancient, something powerful and alive. Hours passed, though they felt like days. The stars continued their silent drift as the Veyrin remained on high alert. Then a reply came from the Xylar Council, and the message sent shivers down Tyler's spine. "Commander Tyler, your transmission has been received. Humanity is a myth. There is no proof of their existence. You are to continue your patrol and avoid confrontation. Report again only if necessary." Tyler stared at the holographic message, his mind racing. "They don't believe us." "They never do until it is too late," Hera muttered, her eyes fixed on the fading sensor readings. The Veyrin continued its patrol, but now every shadow of space seemed ominous. Every strange pulse of energy became a possible threat. The alien crew, trained for centuries in combat and survival, felt the first real sense of fear they had known. Suddenly, the sensors picked up another reading. This time, multiple objects larger than the first moving in formation. Tyler's stomach tightened. These weren't scouts. These were warships, and they were coming fast. "Commander, they're massing," Hera said, her claws gripping the console. "They're moving like coordinated units. We can't outrun them." Tyler's mind worked quickly. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Activate stealth protocols. If we can survive long enough to send this data back, the Council will have to listen." The ship shuddered as the energy pulses hit their shields again, stronger than before. Alarms screamed across the bridge. The crew moved with practiced precision, but even their training couldn't erase the fear. Tyler stood tall, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Listen carefully. Whatever happens, we survive, we report. Humanity is real, and we will not be the first to fall without warning the galaxy." The Vayrene twisted and turned, dodging energy blasts that lit the void with deadly precision. The crew worked as one, coordinating with each other in perfect rhythm. But as they maneuvered, one thought remained in every Xylar mind. If humans were real, and if this small fleet was just a glimpse of their power, then the stories were true. Humanity was not only alive, they were unstoppable. As the Vayrene sent its last transmission before being forced to retreat, Tyler's final words to the Xylar Council echoed in the void. "It's real. They're coming." And somewhere beyond the stars, the humans were indeed on the move. Their fleet silent but deadly, ready to unleash a force the Xylar Collective had never imagined. The legend had been dismissed for centuries. Now it was about to become reality. Far beyond the outer edges of Xylar space, the human fleet moved silently through the dark of the cosmos. Ships of every shape and size, all built with precision and purpose, glided along pre-programmed trajectories. The human commanders knew their mission well: survey the sector, respond to threats, and demonstrate that humanity was no myth. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Aurora, her eyes scanning the holographic displays. The fleet around her consisted of several dreadnought-class ships, stealth frigates, and fast attack vessels. Each one bristled with energy weapons, shield generators, and advanced AI systems capable of predicting enemy tactics in seconds. "Status report," Elena ordered, her voice calm but commanding. "Lieutenant Harris," the chief tactical officer looked up from his console. "All ships operational, Captain. Sensors indicate no immediate threats. Energy signatures in this sector are consistent with standard Xylar patrols, though some readings are unusual." "They are weaker than expected but present," Elena nodded. "Unusual or not, we proceed with caution. Maintain formation, Alpha. Frigates, stay ahead and sweep for any hidden units. No surprises." The human fleet moved with quiet confidence, a sharp contrast to the Xylar crews that had been trembling at the thought of human existence. Every ship was designed not just for power but for strategy. Humans relied on speed, ingenuity, and precision, things that no other species in the galaxy had mastered to this degree. As the fleet neared the outer border of Xylar territory, sensors picked up movement. Small craft were advancing rapidly, and they were firing without warning. It was a patrol fleet unprepared for what they faced. Lieutenant Harris turned to Elena. "We have incoming contact." "Xylar ships, Captain. They're attacking." Elena's lips curved into a small smile. "Prepare defenses. This is exactly what we expected." The Xylar patrol, confident in their superior numbers and strength, opened fire first. Energy beams lanced through space toward the human formation, striking shields and creating blinding flashes of light. But the humans moved differently. The Aurora twisted gracefully, avoiding the first wave of attacks while small fighter units darted around the enemy ships with astonishing speed. Every human ship seemed to anticipate the Xylar maneuvers before they even happened. "Target their lead ship," Elena commanded. "Focus all firepower on disabling their engines. Precision only, no collateral damage." The human fleet fired in perfect synchronization. Energy blasts hit the Xylar lead ship directly, disrupting its power systems. Within moments, the massive alien craft shuddered and drifted powerless. The remaining patrol ships faltered, confused by the speed and coordination of the human attack. Lieutenant Harris watched in awe. They can't react fast enough. Our calculations, every prediction is perfect." Elena's eyes narrowed. That's what humans do. We adapt, we learn, and we do not fight blindly. The Xylar ships attempted to regroup, sending messages of warning to their hidden fleet. But the humans anticipated these moves. Holographic projections and decoy drones created illusions of larger fleets, forcing the aliens to split their forces and waste precious energy. In the midst of battle, Elena focused on the bigger goal. Harris maintained formation, destroy their weapons platforms but leave the ships intact where possible. We are here to show power, not to annihilate without purpose. The human strategy worked flawlessly. Xylar ships, already unprepared for such precision, began to panic. Sensors overloaded with false readings and energy weapons misfired. One after another, patrol vessels were disabled, forced to surrender or retreat. On the bridge of a Xylar command cruiser, Commander Tyler could barely comprehend what was happening. His ship rocked violently as the humans struck again. How are they moving like this? He growled, gripping the console. Lieutenant Hera, beside him, shook her head. I told you, Commander. The legends were not lies. Humans are real, and they are extraordinary. Tyler's eyes widened. No, myths cannot exist. It is impossible. But the Vayreen, now heavily damaged and hiding in a nearby asteroid field, relayed one final message to the Xylar homeworld before systems failed. The humans are here. They are not a myth. They fight with a power beyond comprehension. Prepare for war. Back on the Aurora, Elena observed the chaos below with calculated calm. Deploy boarding teams, she said. If any of their ships survive, we need intelligence. And let's show them that humanity fights with honor as well as strength. Small transport craft detached from the fleet, carrying teams of highly trained human Marines. These Marines were skilled in both combat and technology. They could infiltrate enemy ships, disable their systems, and secure critical data, all without unnecessary destruction. Within moments, boarding operations began. Human teams moved with silent precision, neutralizing Xylar crews, reactivating critical systems, and securing ships for study. Each operation was swift, effective, and almost surgical in nature. Meanwhile, the larger battle continued in space. The human fleet, though outnumbered in some areas, used superior tactics to control the battlefield. They avoided prolonged exposure, striking quickly and retreating before Xylar forces could recover. Every attack left the Xylar commanders more confused and terrified. One young Xylar officer, observing from a command station, whispered to his superior, "Captain, they fight like legends. They anticipate our every move. How is this possible?" The human fleet's energy shields absorbed attacks that would have destroyed other ships. Human AI systems predicted enemy strategies, allowing ships to dodge and counter with perfect timing. The Xylar collective had never faced an opponent like this. For the first time in centuries, doubt and fear spread through their ranks. Elena's voice cut through the bridge speakers, steady and commanding. "This is what humanity looks like, crew. Not myth, not legend, but real. And we are here to protect ourselves and the galaxy if necessary." By the time the first engagement ended, the human fleet had crippled the Xylar patrols without a single human casualty. Xylar ships lay scattered, some drifting powerless through space, others retreating toward their home systems, battered and demoralized. Captain Voss turned to her officers. "This is only the beginning. Send a signal to the Xylar Council. Humanity is here. We do not come to destroy without reason, but we will defend ourselves against any threat." Lieutenant Harris transmitted the message immediately. On the Xylar homeworld, alarms blared and council members argued heatedly. Many dismissed the report as exaggeration, but the first wave of incoming transmissions from fleeing patrols confirmed the truth. Humans were not only real, they were unstoppable. In the darkness of space, the human fleet regrouped. Their sensors scanned the horizon for any remaining Xylar resistance. Elena allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries. Their enemies had mocked them as legends and myths, yet now the reality was undeniable. "This will be remembered," she said softly, almost to herself. "They thought we were a story, a tale to frighten children. Soon the galaxy will see what humanity truly is." The fleet continued its journey deeper into Xylar space, moving with purpose. Every ship in formation reflected a single truth. Humans were not a myth. They were a force of skill, courage, and intelligence, and the legends would now become history. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Elena knew one thing clearly. The Xylar Collective had underestimated humanity, and underestimation would be their greatest mistake. Deep within Xylar territory, the human fleet advanced steadily. The once unshakable empire now trembled at the presence of ships from a species they had long dismissed as a myth. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the Aurora, her eyes fixed on the holographic map of the Xylar star system. Multiple planets orbited a massive sun, each heavily fortified with orbital weapon platforms, shield generators, and patrol fleets. "Captain," Lieutenant Harris said, pointing at the screen, "our sensors show several concentrated Xylar defense zones. If we strike without planning, we could face massive losses." Elena nodded. "We strike precisely. We disable their weapon systems, take control of key vessels, and minimize casualties where possible. The objective is clear. Show the Xylar Collective that humans are no myth and we do not attack recklessly." Her orders were clear and deliberate. Humans fought not only with strength but with intelligence, ethics, and strategy. Unlike the Xylar, who relied on brute force, humans understood that war was not just about destruction. It was about demonstrating skill, precision, and moral discipline. The fleet approached the first Xylar planet, a massive world covered with stormy clouds and gleaming defense stations. From orbit, the humans observed the network of weapons platforms. Energy cannons bristled across orbital rings, each ready to target any approaching ship. Lieutenant Harris turned to Elena, his voice tense. "Captain, this is heavily fortified. Any direct assault will be catastrophic." Elena's calm eyes met his. "Then we do not attack directly. Deploy stealth drones. We analyze the system, identify weak points, and move in silently. We strike where it hurts without causing unnecessary loss of life." The order was executed with precision. Tiny drones slipped past enemy sensors, moving undetected across the orbital perimeter. Their scans mapped the Xylar systems, revealing gaps in the shields and blind spots in their patrol patterns. "Target coordinates locked," Harris said. "We can disable the weapon platforms without harming the planet itself." "Good," Elena replied. "Commence operation." The human fleet moved like a silent storm. Energy beams struck key weapon nodes with perfect accuracy, disabling Xylar cannons and communication arrays. The orbital defenses, once considered impenetrable, faltered as the humans' precise strikes neutralized them one by one. On the surface of the planet, Xylar soldiers watched in disbelief. Alarms blared and warnings flashed across their command consoles. "Commander," a young officer shouted, "our defenses are failing. We are under attack and the enemy is white too fast, too precise." Commander Tyler, now fully aware of the human threat, gritted his teeth. "Impossible," he muttered. "Legends cannot exist. They are myths. We are stronger, more organized. How can they defeat us?" But even as he spoke, a boarding team from the human fleet appeared near the orbital docks. Human Marines, equipped with advanced armor and tactical AI, infiltrated the Xylar ships. They moved silently, neutralizing enemy personnel and securing the vessels for strategic use. Each operation was calculated, efficient, and merciful where possible. Inside a Xylar capital ship, chaos erupted. Crew members scrambled to respond to the sudden human boarding. Energy beams clashed in confined corridors, the sound of combat echoing through the metallic halls. But the humans fought differently from anything the Xylar had seen. They used strategy, adaptability, and teamwork rather than relying on overwhelming force alone. Lieutenant Kira, leading one boarding team, activated a small device that disabled the ship's energy systems. In moments, the capital ship was powerless and the Xylar crew was forced to surrender. Kira sent a message back to the fleet. "Target secured. No unnecessary casualties. Moving to the next objective." Back on the Aurora, Elena monitored the operation. "Excellent work," she said. "This is how humans fight. Not just with firepower, but with skill, ethics, and intelligence. This is how we will be remembered." Meanwhile, the Xylar High Command struggled to comprehend what was happening. Their fleets, though larger, were being outmaneuvered at every turn. Their orbital platforms were disabled one after another, and their capital ships were being captured by a seemingly small force. Panic spread through the ranks. Admiral Zyrak, the leader of the Xylar defense fleet, slammed his claws against the console.
"This is impossible."
"They are not supposed to exist. Our entire strategy, it is failing." Hira, who had returned to observe the chaos from a distance, whispered, "I warned them. Humanity is real and now they see it themselves. Legends become reality, Admiral. The human fleet continued its advance, now moving toward the second planetary system in the sector. Each step was calculated, each strike precise. They avoided unnecessary destruction, focusing instead on disabling military infrastructure and gathering intelligence. On the battlefield, the contrast between humans and Xylar was clear. The aliens relied on raw strength, overwhelming numbers, and fear. The humans relied on adaptability, strategy, and courage. Every attack, every maneuver showcased human ingenuity. As the fleet reached the second system, the humans encountered a Xylar stronghold. This one was larger, more fortified, and heavily guarded. Energy beams crisscrossed the orbital space, creating a deadly web for any approaching ship. Elena's eyes narrowed. This is more difficult, but it is still manageable. Harris, plot a course through the blind spots. Deploy decoy drones. We strike silently. The fleet obeyed, moving like shadows through the Xylar defenses. Stealth drones projected holographic images of the fleet in multiple locations, confusing enemy sensors. Human ships slipped past defenses that no other species could have penetrated. Within the stronghold, humans deployed small boarding units. They infiltrated control centers, disabled energy cores, and captured Xylar vessels. Every operation was swift, efficient, and merciful to civilians. Even the Xylar soldiers, shocked by the humans' skill, began to realize the truth. These were no ordinary opponents. In one critical moment, a young Xylar engineer, trapped in a human-secured control room, watched as Captain Voss herself coordinated the strike. Elena's calm, strategic mind guided every action, ensuring victory with minimal destruction. The engineer whispered to a colleague, They are not just humans, they are perfect warriors, yet merciful.
How is this possible?
The first strike of the humans had succeeded. Xylar defenses were crippled, key vessels were captured, and the planetary systems were now under observation and control. The fleet regrouped, their formation reflecting a single truth. Humans were no myth. Elena stood on the bridge, gazing at the holographic map. This is only the beginning, she said softly. The Xylar collective underestimated us for centuries. Now they know the truth. Humanity fights with skill, courage, and honor, and they will never forget it. Even as they prepared to move deeper into Xylar territory, the humans remained vigilant. Sensors scanned for hidden threats. Boarding teams were ready for any surprise encounters, and every ship operated in perfect coordination. The message was clear. Humans were not here to destroy blindly. They were here to show the galaxy that legends could become reality, and that courage, intelligence, and honor were unstoppable. Somewhere across Xylar space, Commander Tyler looked at the reports of the first strike. His claws trembled as he read the messages. We were wrong, he whispered. Humans are not a myth. They are a storm, and it is upon us. The first strike had changed everything. The legend of humanity was no longer a story whispered in fear. It was a reality the Xylar could not ignore. The galaxy had witnessed the beginning of a force that would rewrite history, and the humans, calm yet powerful, were ready for whatever came next. The Xylar homeworld shivered under the weight of approaching human forces. Panic spread across the council chambers as Admiral Zirak and other leaders argued over what to do next. Their fleets had been tested and broken in distant sectors, orbital defenses crippled, and key command ships captured. The humans had proven they were not a myth, and the very idea of humanity now filled the Xylar with fear. We must strike immediately. Admiral Zirak roared, claws slamming on the control panel. We cannot allow these humans to advance any further. Mobilize the entire fleet. They will not leave our territory alive. A younger officer, trembling, spoke up. Admiral, their strikes are precise, their tactics. They are unlike anything we've faced. They do not attack recklessly. They adapt. Zirak's eyes narrowed. Adapt or not, they are still a species of flesh and bone. We have numbers. We have firepower. We will overwhelm them. Meanwhile, far above Xylar space, the human fleet approached the edge of the homeworld's defensive perimeter. Captain Elena Voss stood on the Aurora's bridge, surveying the incoming enemy forces. They're mobilizing everything they have, she said calmly. And that is exactly what we expected. Prepare for the next phase. Every ship, every marine follow protocol. Remember, precision and strategy are our greatest weapons. Lieutenant Harris's fingers moved over the console. Captain, Xylar forces are massive. Thousands of ships. Orbital defenses at full power. Any direct assault could be catastrophic. Elena nodded. Then we do not attack blindly. Use the environment, use their mistakes. Strike where they are weak. Let them think they are in control and then show them the truth. The human fleet spread out, slipping between asteroid fields and using small gas clouds to hide their approach. Stealth frigates darted ahead, scanning the enemy formations and creating false signals. Holographic projections projected images of dozens of human ships in multiple positions, confusing the Xylar sensors. From the Xylar homeworld, the Council watched the approach with growing dread. How can they move like this? A counselor whispered. They are too fast, too coordinated. Our fleets cannot respond in time. Impossible, another replied. Legends do not exist. But the humans were real, and their tactics were extraordinary. As the Xylar fleet advanced, the humans began their first maneuvers. Small attack squads darted between larger ships, striking critical power nodes with precise energy blasts. The Xylar attempted to respond with massed firepower, but humans anticipated every move. Every evasive maneuver, every strike was calculated to maximize effect and minimize loss. On the bridge of the Aurora, Elena gave orders with calm authority. Deploy boarding teams to the nearest capital ship. Disable their command systems. Use cyber infiltration to take control of secondary fleets. Avoid unnecessary destruction. Lieutenant Kira, leading a boarding team, nodded. Understood, Captain. Our teams are ready. Within moments, human marines had infiltrated several Xylar vessels. They moved with silent precision, neutralizing enemy crews, securing critical systems, and reactivating ships under human control. Each operation was swift, efficient, and merciful where possible. The Xylar, once proud and confident, now faced an enemy they could not understand or predict. In one critical engagement, a Xylar dreadnought attempted to corner a human frigate. The humans activated a wormhole jump sequence, disappearing from sensors only to reappear behind the dreadnought. Within seconds, the frigate fired precise energy beams that disabled the dreadnought's engines. The Xylar crew, stunned, had no time to respond before boarding teams took over. Captain Voss, Lieutenant Harris said, their morale is breaking. They cannot believe what is happening. Elena's eyes glimmered with quiet determination. Good. Let them see that underestimation is their greatest weakness. We fight not just with weapons, but with mind and courage. The battle escalated further as Xylar reinforcements attempted to flank the human fleet. Large cruisers fired barrages of energy, creating a deadly storm of light across the void. But the humans moved like dancers in the chaos. Fighters weaved between beams, shielded by predictive AI, while drones disrupted enemy targeting systems. One human ship, tiny compared to the massive Xylar cruiser, fired a coordinated volley that disabled multiple weapons at once. In the Xylar command center, panic became fear. Commander Tyler's claws shook as he read incoming reports. We are losing control, he whispered. Our fleets, our defenses, they crumble before them. Lieutenant Hira, watching the same reports, said quietly, It's the humans. They are not just strong, they are clever, disciplined, and fearless. This is what the legends tried to tell us. Zyrak, enraged, ordered an orbital bombardment on the incoming human fleet. Massive energy beams fired toward the human ships, threatening to annihilate them before they could strike. But the humans had anticipated this. Using stealth drones and evasive maneuvers, they avoided the bombardment while sending counterattacks that disabled the orbital batteries. In the midst of chaos, Elena addressed her fleet. This is the moment we prove our resolve. Move forward with precision. Strike where needed, protect the innocent, show the Xylar that humanity fights not just with fire, but with honor and intelligence. The humans advanced, disabling Xylar war machines, capturing strategic vessels, and turning the tide of battle. Every success reinforced the pattern. No matter the size of the Xylar forces, humans adapted, outmaneuvered, and overcame. A young Xylar officer, hiding in a captured control room, whispered to his companion, They are not just humans. They are unstoppable yet merciful. How can one species be so perfect? The companion shook his head. I don't know. But we are learning the hard way. Humanity is real, and they are extraordinary. By the time the battle ended, the Xylar fleet was broken. Many ships were destroyed or captured, and the homeworld's defenses lay in ruins. Panic swept across the planet as news of the humans' actions spread. The Council could no longer deny the truth. Humans were not a myth. They were a force of skill, courage, and intelligence that the Xylar had never imagined. Captain Elena Voss surveyed the aftermath from the Aurora's bridge. "We have achieved our objective," she said softly. "The Xylar now understand that humans are real, but our mission is not to destroy blindly. We must prepare for what comes next." Lieutenant Harris nodded. "The message has been sent. Humanity's presence is now known throughout their empire. Their fear is growing." Elena's gaze turned to the stars beyond. "Good. Fear is the first step toward respect. And respect is what the galaxy will give us, whether willingly or not. Today we turn the tide. Tomorrow we will define the future." As the human fleet regrouped and prepared for the next phase of their campaign, one truth became clear across Xylar space. Underestimation of humanity had been the greatest mistake they had ever made. And the legends were real, more real than anyone had dared believe. The humans, calm, disciplined, and powerful, moved onward. The battle had been won, but the war for the hearts and minds of the galaxy had just begun. The Xylar homeworld lay in chaos. Their once proud fleets had been shattered, orbital defenses disabled, and key command centers captured. Panic and fear spread through the streets, and even the most loyal generals questioned whether they could continue resisting. Humanity had shown them not only power but precision, intelligence, and a discipline that the Xylar had never experienced. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the remnants of the Xylar fleet scatter across the system. Her face was calm, but her eyes reflected determination. The humans had won the decisive battles, but victory was not merely about destruction. Humanity's goal was clear: demonstrate strength, defend themselves, and leave a lasting impression of who they truly were. Lieutenant Harris spoke beside her. "Captain, the Xylar are retreating. Reports indicate their homeworld is preparing to surrender. Civilian systems are unharmed, but military structures are in disarray." Elena nodded. "Good. We take control where needed, but we protect the innocent. Humanity fights to win, but not to destroy without cause. Begin sending messages. Offer peace and assistance. Show them the difference between strength and recklessness." As the human fleet moved into position around the Xylar homeworld, their sensors detected hundreds of small Xylar ships attempting to flee to nearby systems. Many were disorganized, some barely functional. Elena considered the options carefully. Destroying them would be easy, but that was not the point. Humanity's victory was as much about principle as it was about strategy. "Track their movements," she ordered. "Disable them if they threaten others, but allow surrender where possible. Prepare boarding teams to establish control and provide assistance. We show them that humans are not only powerful but honorable." Across the planet, Xylar civilians and soldiers alike witnessed the arrival of the humans. Ships that had once seemed like legends now hung in orbit, a reminder that myths had become reality. Fear gave way to awe as humans moved with precision, securing critical areas, repairing damaged infrastructure, and offering help where needed. Commander Tyler, humbled and broken, observed from his command station. He had spent his life believing humans were extinct, nothing more than tales told to frighten young Xylar. Now he could not deny the truth. The humans were real, and their power was unlike anything he had imagined. He whispered to Hera, his trusted lieutenant. "They are extraordinary. Not monsters. Not myths. But warriors. And something more." Hera nodded. "Yes, Commander." "They fight with courage and skill, but they also act with honor. That is what terrifies us. That is what makes them unforgettable." Elena and her fleet began coordinated operations to stabilize the Xylar systems. Human Marines assisted in reactivating communications, repairing critical facilities, and ensuring that civilian populations were safe. Even the Xylar who had fought fiercely against humans began to witness their mercy and discipline firsthand. In one notable operation, a young Xylar officer approached Captain Voss personally. "Captain," he said, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and admiration, "I wish to speak with you. We wish to understand. We wish to learn from humanity." Elena studied him carefully. "Your people have a choice," she replied. "You can continue fighting and risk annihilation, or you can embrace peace and cooperation. We are not here to destroy your species. We are here to show the galaxy that humanity exists, and that we fight with intelligence, courage, and honor." The officer's eyes widened. "Peace? After everything?" "Yes," Elena said firmly. "Strength without mercy is fear. Strength with mercy is respect. Humanity will not forget that lesson, and now neither will you. Word of the humans' arrival and conduct spread quickly across Xylar space. Ships that had fled returned to surrender, and local governments sent representatives to negotiate. Even Admiral Zyrak, humbled and defeated, realized the truth. Humanity was not merely powerful. They were a force of reason, ethics, and brilliance. This is unprecedented, he said quietly to his aides. We have underestimated them for centuries, and now we must learn, or be destroyed. On Earth, the news of the human campaign reached the public. Stories of courage, intelligence, and discipline inspired hope and admiration. Humanity had proven itself to the galaxy, not through indiscriminate destruction, but through precise strategy, moral action, and bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, Captain Voss addressed her fleet. Today, humanity has shown the galaxy what we are capable of. Not as conquerors, but as defenders. We fight to protect, to survive, and to honor our values. Remember this, crew. Our legend is now reality, and history will remember us for what we truly are. The fleet's response was unanimous, disciplined, quiet, and filled with pride. They had faced one of the galaxy's most powerful empires and emerged victorious, not because of sheer numbers alone, but because of ingenuity, courage, and teamwork. Humanity had become a force that no species could ignore. In the following weeks, human diplomats worked alongside Xylar leaders to establish a new era of peace. Former enemies now communicated openly, sharing knowledge and technology under strict supervision. The Xylar learned the value of humility and cooperation, while humans demonstrated that strength could coexist with morality. Back aboard the Aurora, Elena watched the Xylar systems begin to stabilize. Ships flew safely through orbit, infrastructure was repaired, and civilians resumed their daily lives. She allowed herself a small moment of satisfaction. The mission had been more than a military campaign. It had been a lesson in humanity's potential. Lieutenant Harris approached her quietly. Captain, the galaxy will remember this. Humanity has proven itself not as a myth, not as a story, but as a true force. Elena nodded. Yes, and the Xylar will remember too. They will teach their children that humans are real. They will speak of courage, skill, and honor. And the galaxy will know that humanity exists, and that we fight not recklessly, but with purpose. Far across the stars, messages began to arrive from other species who had once dismissed Earth as insignificant. Tales of human victories spread like wildfire. From distant systems to uncharted sectors, beings whispered the same words. Humans are real, and they are extraordinary. Back on the Xylar homeworld, a young officer looked up at the sky as a human ship passed overhead. He smiled faintly, hope in his eyes for the first time. They thought we were the strongest. They thought we knew everything. But humans taught us something greater. Elena watched from her bridge as the sun set over the Xylar homeworld. The mission was complete, but the legacy had just begun. Humans had rewritten the story of the galaxy, not with fear or destruction, but with courage, intelligence, and honor. The myth had become reality, and the reality would inspire generations. This is only the beginning, Elena whispered to herself. They thought humans were a myth. But myths have a way of rewriting history. As the Aurora and the fleet departed Xylar space, the galaxy was forever changed. Humanity was no longer a story whispered in fear. It was a living, undeniable force. And the Xylar, humbled but alive, had learned the most important lesson of all: to respect a species that could think, adapt, and fight with both power and honor. Across the stars, humans continued their journey. They would explore, defend, and inspire, and wherever legends were doubted, humanity would prove that courage, intelligence, and morality were forces stronger than myths, stronger than fear, and stronger than any empire that underestimated them.